Gloria and Patricia, you have a question. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining the class today. Um,
Mr.
I'll take some time, maybe 5 minutes, to answer questions before we go into the class, and every other question will be after them. All right, let's start with Gloria.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Mine is
Mm,
just a click, and the deadline be extended for just 5 minutes. Let me click on the turn in, and that's all.
Unfortunately, no, it cannot. Patricia,
Good afternoon, Mr. Rotimi.
afternoon.
I don't know. I have a couple of questions. Like for the Google Group website, can it be done on the phone?
Google Groups, some people did it on the phone. I've not used my phone before, but like I said, it's a
Doing
browser
it
based. It's a
in.
browser based. It's browser based. So you use a browser on your phone and it should work. If it doesn't
I've even,
work, there is a
I
way
used
that
phone.
you,
It didn't
let me
work.
finish. Let me finish. There's a way that they said you can convert, you can set up your phone so that it uses browser. I don't know how to do it, but I did see that some people submitted using a phone, and I could see that they created the Google Groups. So you might need
I've
to
even
do some research.
yes, I've even dropped that on the
Yeah. So
announcement on
yeah, if
why
you might
like
need to
anyone
do
do it.
yeah, you might need to either wait for people that were able to do it to respond, or you do your own research online on how to do it. But
I've
I
been
did.
doing able to get
So
it.
you might need to do further research. But there are people in the class that did submit with phone that I could see that they did use it. I don't know how to
Able
do it.
because
I've
most of
not
the
done
time
it.
nobody even responds.
So that's why I suggested using the browser. Let's go to just Gori.
That
Good afternoon, sir.
You have to,
Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, I have a question on the Google task. I noticed that even when I set it to repeat, that is to never end, but I got to notice that at a particular month, the thing terminates. Even in the video you sent to us, it shows that it ends at a particular month. It didn't
you have
go
you have to
all the month.
set this when you want to set a timeline for task. You have to set a start and an end time. If you want it to continue forever, then time then to continue. All of those features are there. All right, let's just get into today's class. We don't spend too much time on. We'll still carve out some time for questions at the class. All right, so today we'll be focusing on Unit 7 and Unit 8. Unit 7 is focused on Google Classroom itself, and we'll be doing mostly the practicals. I would walk you through almost all the features on Google Classroom. Some you already are familiar with, as maybe from the student perspective, but some of you have also done stuff on Google Classroom, so you probably might have been familiar with a few things on Google Classroom. Today we'll be focusing on Google Classroom. I just went through the slides that I have here. For the questions that are the four sections in Unit 7, getting your class organized, assigning more work, assigning work more easily, collect assignments effortlessly, and give feedback, give and receive feedback. And feedbacks are very critical, especially um, as a teacher to student providing feedback. And that is one of the things that the Google platform does or excels so much in, much more than the traditional way that we collect assignment and grade assignment. So we'll be running through this today. Getting your class more organized. Um, Google Classroom is great. Like I've mentioned before, it's just an online version of what you practically do within your classroom. So everything that is possible within your classroom has been um, elevated to have something similar online to help you do those things. Just the same way you set up your classroom physically, you are able also to set up your Google Classroom, where you in your classroom you normally post announcements, do all of that, arrange your classroom, have where your student will submit work, have where, the same thing within the Google Classroom. You are able to set up all of that. Google Classroom is also good because integrates with Gmail, Google Drive, and it also not only allows you collaborate, but you are only also able to communicate with your students, and between students they can communicate with one another. Student can access Google Classroom three ways. If you create a class, you have to invite your students to join the class. You could invite them. So am I audible enough? I can see some people. If I'm audible enough, please thumbs up. That's fine. All right, great. So students are able to access classroom. You will need to invite them or give them a code for them to join your class. Just the same way that no student can, no students, student can just freely walk into the class. Excuse me, especially if they are not your students. The same way in the class, you have to get them into the class. You could also assign work by groups, group project, group assignments, and then you also can have a co-teacher. So you could have a co-teacher within your classroom. So practically everything that is possible with the physical classroom is with the Google Classroom. You can add different plugins to your Google Classroom. As we've learned before, almost every Google platform or Google to have a market where you can buy or really use some additional extensions to extend what you can do with Google Classroom. And so we're going to look at how to create Google Classroom, add students, and then we'll move on to the next one. So we're done with, I will walk through the practicals of um, setting up a class organized. Then we go to bring your class online. All right, so let me let me open my Google Classroom and then we can proceed. So today I would let me use another student. So we have two students we can use. Um, I would, all right, so this is a student. I'm just using this fresh account. It only has a class. So to create a class, you click on the plus icon here. Um, if you have a Google domain, if your school if your school email is leveraging Google, you are able to set it such that only teachers can create classes. Because if you have a generic account, you'll be able to see join class and create class. Because this is a public account, you might not be able to control it for your students if they all have their own personal Gmail. But if your school have their Gmail domain, domain tied to Gmail, and their emails are running through Gmail, and they have the Google for Education, then you can set it up such that only teachers will see create class. Students will only see join classes. All right, so to create a class, you just click on the plus, and then you click on create. You set the name of the class. So I'll call this Camp 4 class, for example. Section can be, so like example, I can call this one grade. I can call this one GC, Google Certified Education. The subject will be Camp 4, so this Camp 4. Or I can say this is Camp 4 and the subject is GC. So for example, if you say, if you are a homeroom teacher and you teach math, science, social studies, and language arts, for example, you could call the class name as grade 4B, and then the subject name will be maybe maths. Section is if you have different arms, maybe grade 4, and then this would be 4A. This would be GC. I can call this one Camp 4, and then I can call maybe online, whatever class. You understand what I'm saying? Give it a name, and then if you have room, you can put the room. So I'll say this one is Google Google Meet. And that's how easy it is to create a Google Classroom. Once you create the classroom, it automatically comes this way for you. You are able to you are able to change this and customize it by clicking on this. You can change the entire look and feel from one color to the other. Then you can select banner, the class banner, uh, directly from Google. If they have a dimension, you are able to select different ones. So let's say art and sports, for example, let's look at others. You're able to select whatever you want. So I'll pick this. That's your class theme. You can also upload your own photo, but remember you have to get the dimensions right. Otherwise, the photos will be blown up and they will not align as much as this is aligning. So that is pretty much set up. And this is GC Camp 4. You see your class there. All of you are familiar with classwork. You're familiar with people. You're familiar with your grades. So now the first thing I want to do first is just walk us through a few steps. In the settings, every time you create a Google Classroom, it gives you a Google Drive. It creates a folder for you in your Google Drive. So if you click on this, you will see that it brings you to your inside of your Google Drive. The moment you start using Classroom, there will be a folder called Classroom. And inside of that Classroom, you will see folder for each of your classes. Remember, this student has two classes, is enrolled. This particular person is enrolled in two classes. One, he's teaching one class. That is why you see it as teaching. The online, the free version, you might not see this breakdown. I think you might check. And then he's attending one of these classes. But in his Google Drive, he should be able to see the two classes that he's in. The one is teaching. And so everything that goes on in that class will be packed under the folders of that class. All the documentation will always be there, and all that has been submitted and all of that will be found there. You might not see these as a student, but let me go to that Google Drive as a teacher, and then you see the difference. So if I click on Google Drive, for me as a teacher, all the submission that you guys do or you make will always come into the class. So this is Google Educator Training Camp 4. If I click on it, I will see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5 assignment, and every submission that you make is categorized and properly filed away in all of the assignments. You can see day 0 to day 4 attendance, the week 1 to week 4 assignments, and all of that. And everything that I post within the class would also be in that folder. So everything will be there. So that's that about the folder. Then every class already also immediately has a calendar. The calendar is automatically created when you have a class. The calendar is automatically created. You can see GC Camp 4 calendar is automatically created. So if there are assignments that are due, you will find their due dates and all of that. Now, another thing that I want to talk about before we delve deep into the other thing about adding student is settings. Let's just go through settings. In the settings tab, you will be able to change the name of the class as you wish. But a few things that we want to mention here is you're able to preset something. Every class we'll talk about, let me jump this general part before I come back to it. So in the stream, which is like your message board, you can decide how you want things to be done there. So stream, student can post comments, and post and comment. Student can only comment. So if you don't want the student to post or start a post, if you want them to just comment, that means you are doing posting, and they are only able to comment under your post. And then only teacher can post or comment. So this gives you the option to set how you want communications to happen in your class. Just like in your physical class, you will say, student, you do not speak unless you raise your hand and you are being called. So the same thing here. You can say, you would only respond to what I post. You will not be able to post your own. That is, student can only comment. And if I say, I will be the only one talking in this class, you are not allowed to talk. Only teacher can post or comment. If I want teachers and students to collaborate, then I put students can post and comment. That's that setting. Stream, classwork on stream. Here is how you change how your assignments and your anything you do on that classwork will appear in the class. I will show you an example with this. So if we go into our current class, you will see that in our current class, when I post an assignment, all the details shows up. The reason for that is because the setting here shares show attachment and details. But if I change it to show condensed notification and I say, let's go back and see how the notification will look like in stream. The one we just opened now, you see it's now the assignment is now condensed. It's no longer showing the full details. Yeah, this is it. It's no longer showing that full detail because I changed the settings. So that's what that setting does. It allows you to determine how you want your assignments to display. So I'm going to show attachment and everything. Guardian access. So especially for students, when you add students to Google Classroom, you are also able to add their guardian. Now, their guardian will not have access to the class, but they will be able to set for themselves notifications, how often they want to get notifications. For example, if you post that an assignment is due or assignment has been posted, the parent will get a digest at the end of the day or at the end of the week, um, however frequently they want to get it, they'll be able to set it and then they'll get a summary of what is happening within your class. So you can decide to turn it off for your class. If you can turn it off for just this class or for all classes. Um, if you are in school or if you have students that are in multiple Google classrooms, especially if you are managing your account by yourself and your school is a Google school, you are able to once a teacher adds a parent to his or her Google classroom, that parent, if that parent has a student in other classroom, they will be automatically added. Whatever settings they set will be what will happen to all those other classes. I'll jump this and come back to it. Grading is where you can set grades, grade scale for yourself, how you want your assignment graded. So if it doesn't come by default. You can set it A, B, C, D minus, and all of that. You set everything for yourself. You can also select classes that you want these settings to apply to. And then you apply them to those classes. Um, for missing assignment, if somebody misses an assignment, the reason why you will see zero is because I set it here. That default grade for missing assignment is zero. And, and it will assign that zero to that grade immediately. Once the assignment deadline goes and I grade, I will not need to grade all the zeros, all the people that missed assignment. If I return their grade, the system will automatically assign them zero because their grades are zero. You can also add grade category. Here, default points can add different categories. So I want to call this one, let me say, test, for example. This is test category. I'll add another grade category. I'll call this home work. And my homework will be 10. I can add another category and call this attendance. So my attendance, for example, will be 10. Let's 20. So that means that every assignment I put under this category, the overall score will be based on this. Uh, then you can also say overall grade calculation if you want that every time at the end of the time, if there are 10 assignments, how do you want that assignments to be graded overall? If it is total point, you choose total point. If it is weighted, then you weight by category. Remember, I just said three categories now. So if I want my overall score to be weighted, that means I want tests to have 50% of the scores. I want homework to have 20% of the scores. I want assignment to have 10%. This is where I set that. If I want total score, I just put total points. If I want weighted, then I set what are the weighting according to this category. So some of you might have continuous assessment 1, continuous assessment 2, continuous assessment 3, continuous assessment 4, exam. And your assessment takes 10 marks. Your exam takes maybe your assessment 3, assessment 20, 20, 20, that's 60, and your exam 40. You can set that here. And when you give them assignment, assessment 1, 2, 3, you graded it. And then their exam, you graded it. The overall score will calculate based on this weightage. That's what this will do. If you want it to show the overall score for the students, you select that, and then that is that. So now I'm going to save this and then go back to show us a few things on the teacher side as I show what this is. Now I skipped two things, which is this one. So meeting link. If you want, okay, I think I should speak to adding students first before I get here. Um, let me turn this on. So there are three ways you can add students to class. One is to send them an invitation link. Then two is to give them a class code. And then three is to add them to the class. We'll look at uh, and I'll show us how this works. But in terms of meeting link, a lot of times when we join the class, I ask you to go into your class. Let me do that to student. I ask you to go out into your class. That you join this link, you join from this link. You join from this link. This is where the settings for that link is there. So if I go into settings and I don't want that link to be visible to students, I turn it off. Once I turn it off and I save it, students will not be able to join the call from that. You see that it's no longer visible to students. I am in the teacher's column. Let's switch over to students and go to time 4. And if any of you want to test it, you can see that the join is no longer there. So that's the option for that. If you want your student to always join via calendar, or you want it to be that it is when the class starts that they will see it, you can always turn it on and off. So that is what that setting is for. Let me go and change it again. I can change it from here, manage, and I'll say make it visible. It is visible now. And here you can also reset. You can always reset it. So, for example, if somebody copies the link and gives it to somebody this week, next week you can reset the link so that any link that has been shared to others outside your class, they will not be able to join the link. Now, and when I refresh back to them, you will see that it immediately come back because you have allowed it to become visible. So that's the settings that allow you to join the Google Meet from within the class. Now, the next thing we'll do is adding students. That's the next thing that we want to talk about. So for the first time when you create a class, you have to generate the link. So you can generate the link and it will now be, the link is here. You can make it visible or non-visible. So click on save and then it is there for students to join at any particular time. The second one is the class code, which is the first way, one way you can get students to join a class. So what I will do is let me switch to student one. I will also have student one. This is student one. Let's go to his Google Classroom. I want to just show you something. It's logging here. Okay, I'll just close this. I'll just switch between student one and I'll switch between student four and teacher. Now, how do you add the last part we'll cover here is how do you add students to class? First is you go to people. When you go to people, you can add somebody as a co-teacher by just clicking here. You add them as a co-teacher. They get an invite and they are able to teach the class. Means they have access and they have almost the same control as you have as a teacher. Two of you teaching the student. You can invite students by clicking on this link and then copying this link and sending it to them as an email or sending it on WhatsApp. So if anybody clicks on this link, it just so let me say let me copy this link now and teach up teach up. Let's say I get the link and I paste it and I hit enter. It will bring me to a place where it will ask me, do I want to join this class? See, it's asking me to join the class. I can switch the account. So that's one way. You send the link, they connect to it. So as they have their Gmail signed up in their Google Chrome or whatever browser, you will read their Gmail, pick it up, and ask them to join. If they don't have their Gmail, so let me say I open incognito window where I don't have my Gmail signed in, and I hit enter, it will ask me to sign in with my Gmail. Once I do that, it will bring me to this same page where I will be prompted with joining the class. So I can click on join the class, and then the class will automatically something like ask the teacher. Okay. Then I can immediately join the link, or I can switch my account and then join. So that's one way you get students to join your class by copying and pasting the link. The second way is also when you click on that invite. See, I have already sent the invite because Rotimi has clicked it, so he has automatically joined. But I will remove him because I'm going to keep using him for, the, for the purpose of test. So you can remove, and then that student is removed. There's no. I can click on invite and then type student emails here and type as many student emails. If I have all my students, I can copy and paste their email here and invite them one by one. So once I invite them, I send the invite. They get that invite as an email. So let's send this invite to them. The second is send an invite this way. You can see that it says invited, meaning the person has not accepted the invite. All right, so let's go to the student and see if he gets an email. And let's see how that email looks like. Email is yet to come. Who did I invite? This is because I invited this person before. Let's try student 3 and see. All right, so okay, let me try another of my email and then we can see how that goes. Email for email. Email. Description. Yes. Okay. Um, I remember they had said they will stop um, Google Workspace from sending invites to external Google. That's what I say. Email must be within your domain or the administrative domain approval. I'm using an email group that is belonging to TTC, so I cannot use this place to invite students to join that are not within my ecosystem. But I can still copy the link, so that's what I would do. I will copy the link and then uh, I will go here and then use my personal account so that you see that the link can still be copied and I can still log in. So this is my personal account. Everything I just signed up. If I switch this account, I signed out on my account. Let's hope I remember the password. Uh, okay. So I'm logging in, not now. Skip, skip. I get, and then I can join the class. So if I refresh again now, I go to people and I refresh, you will see that another Rotimi has joined the class. One is joined and the other one is still invited. Let's see if the invitation has dropped. And I think it was because I had joined before and I removed myself. That's why that is failing. Anyways, that's how you join, add people to class. The second way. Then the third way is you go into your class. And the third way is maybe the students are now in class, they came into your class, you decided that it's the first day of class that you will get them to join your class on Google Classroom. So everybody is in the class, you just post this code, copy this code, and you put it on your blackboard or your whiteboard and ask the student to join. So I'm going to copy this now. Let me just copy it, and then we'll go to myself as a teacher. We haven't joined from here before. So I'll come here and then I'll click on the classroom creation. I'll go to classroom. I'll click on join in class. So they are in your classroom. Basically, this is the code. And I'll click on the code, you type the code, and then you click on join. You type the code, and then click on join. Immediately they automatically join the class. So first is copy the link and send to them. Second is email them the link. Third is wait until they come to class and give them the class code. Then they will be able to join. So let's refresh. Let's go back to me as the owner of the class and go to people. You can see that the two guys are there. And here I can now email student directly or remove them as the case may be. One thing you can do is you can also create groups. So if I have different group of students, while I'm setting my class up, I can break them into groups. So I can select and then create. Where is the option to create this? I think this is it. Yeah. Hmm. There should be an option to create group. It's not there today. let us see. Go back to, you should be able to, there's an option for you to, okay, so here I can assign group. I don't know whether, so I can create groups. I can say these 5 students. I've added all my students. I can select the students and then put them in, create a group and then put some of these students and call them, say group one, for example. I create that group and put them in the group. So 4 students are in group one, and then create another group. So that way you're able to group your students. And when you get to the point where you are assigning assignments to them, you'll be able to assign assignment based on the groups that you create. Let me take another group and call this group two. So these are all parts of how you organize your class. Uh, Finally, in this regard, I still don't know why this, because I think it's because generally I've not set up this account as a teacher at the back end. Finally, is another thing you can do also is you can hide this class code. Let's say, for example, I have the class has started and I don't want people to join again. And people can give others in my class code. I can decide to reset it. If I reset it, it changes, or I can turn it off. So even if you get the code to people, they will not be able to use the code. In terms of posting an announcement, this is where you click on create an announcement. You can post immediately, or you can schedule the post or save it as draft. And here you can attach anything you want. Drive, YouTube, upload a file, add a link, and do all of that as you set up your class with the welcome announcement and all of that. You can see that we have a draft here and eventually discard the draft. So that's basically how you set up uh, your classes from start to finish, um, and how you create groups and all of that within your class. So let's see if we run everything around that. We have. So the next thing is bring student work online, easily assign assignments. So within the class, it's not just about teaching. You also get to a point where you have to assign tasks to people, assign assignments to them to carry out. So how do you assign assignment? Traditionally, in the classroom, in our traditional classroom, you have a you have an assignment, you write it on the board, they copy it, then they have their own book, then they come in and submit the book. The same way it can be done online, but even much better. Um, you can you can let's say you have an assignment that you want to give them answer sheets. For example, you have to photocopy. If you have 20 students, you have to photocopy 20 and hand it to them one by one. In Google Classroom, you can do that without even photocopy. So it's really very um, dynamic and quite easy to use. So you can assign homework, collect the homework, grade it, and then provide feedback. Within Google Classroom, you can assign all sorts of materials to go with your homework, videos, links, documents, whereas traditionally you are limited by the number of textbooks you have. But online, you do not. You just need to make copies and you don't have to invest in making photocopies. That's why this is very, very important. And students can access their homework anywhere, anytime, and on any device, so long as they just have access to it. So we're going to look at how to create an assignment, adding video and assignments to Classroom, adding files directly from Drive. And then the next thing we will look at afterwards will be how to collect your assignments and provide feedback for those assignments. So collecting assignments is the next after giving assignment. All right, so how do you assign work to students? So I'll go back to me being a teacher, and use the teacher account. So I'll quickly just, um, maybe I don't necessarily have to, okay, let's just still use this one. So this is, okay. To create an assignment is found under classwork. You click on create, there are a couple of things you can create. You can create an assignment, you can create a quiz, you can create questions, materials, you can reuse your book. If you are using the Google, if, I keep saying this, which is very beneficial. If your school has a Google, if your school is a Google workspace or Google domain, Google already integrated Google Gemini for free and also Notebook LM for free. And you can bring work from Google Gemini or Notebook LM into your Google Classroom directly. For example, you can go to Gemini. If you click on Gemini, you see you can lesson plan. Most of the things you can do on ChatGPT, you can do it right within Google Classroom using Google Gemini without opening the app somewhere else. And you have a lot of options, develop a professional plan and all of that, craft compelling hooks, create depth of knowledge, brainstorm online, generate quiz, level text, create a rubric, create a vocabulary list. So you have all of these things that you will have needed ChatGPT or other things to do already available for you within the Google Workspace if you are using the Google Workspace for education. All right, so classwork, great. Assignment is normal assignment. I will give you an example of that, but let's talk about question. Question is if you, in a physical class, you want to engage your student, you want them to talk, you ask them a question. And then some of them that are bold enough to raise their hand. But there are those that are very shy. It's not because they do not know what they want to say or what they are to, what they should say, but they are very shy as to be able to express themselves. And that is why technology is a way to give such people their voice. So you ask a question instead of asking it directly to the class. You say, okay, I posted a question in your Google Classroom. You go and say what you thought or type what you thought. And that's the essence of question. Material is how you create content material, lesson material, maybe lesson notes, and all of the resources that you will need for that class. You can pack all those materials within the class. I'm not sure if the free one has this, but the paid one will have that. So in this, I can call this, for example, course material. I can attach all the textbook and everything I have. I can put it there. If I have created stuffs on Google Notebook LM, maybe I've gathered all the resources, synthesized them, and have a lot of material there. I can link it directly. Google Gen is if I have created what is called Google Gen is like a personalized chatbot. Let's say, for example, I also want my students to leverage AI, but I want them to interact with AI in a very controlled environment. So rather than send them to Google Gemini directly, I can create a gem. In ChatGPT is called GPTs, where you will create a chatbot, you will supply all the resources, you tell it how to behave, how to respond, and what to do. And so you can share that with people and people can interact. So I can have all the lesson resources put into that gem and ask gem to guide students in studying this thing. I can tell it, do not provide answers, just guide them and walk them through any question they ask you. So I have all of that prepared. I can now upload them as a material for that class. I can assign YouTube videos. If I've created a channel and I have curated videos, I put them in that channel for my subject. I can also put it here as a material. There are links to websites and other things. I can have them here and put it there as a material. So that's the benefit of material. Uh, Reuse posts is if you have posts and assignments, you don't want to start from scratch, you can create a template that you can always reuse. So now let's look at assignment. Quick assignments, I can create a quiz as an assignment. quiz is automatically going to use Google Forms, which we have already done. So when you create a quiz, it's going to open a blank quiz. And when you open it, then you can name it accordingly. I can name it, I can call it, let's say, just say with 10 quiz, or maybe uh, term 1 CA1. Term 1 CA1, I'll give you that. So we already went through, uh, we've already gone through setting up a quiz. So you can set up a quiz, add all the questions, and then it's already in the assignment. You can publish it. And if you put it in the assignment, student goes in and they are able to carry out whatever instruction it is. Let's go back to it again. So course material is here. Did so I didn't finish that assignment. Quiz. Let me just use this quiz to explain a few things. Now, so I can still add a document in my drive to the quiz to help them understand the quiz. Maybe this is the material that I want them to read so that they can answer that question. If I have a YouTube video, uh, I can just paste the URL here, or I can search directly. Can search directly, and it will take me to whatever video I want to add. I add that video for them to review. I can create a document directly from scratch and put it into it. I can also upload a file either from my computer and attach it to them. So let's say I pick this and then I attach it. So you are able to assign documents to all of them. Links, if I have a, let me just say www.epc.ng. I add that website. It puts the website there also, and they are able to do so. So all of these you can put. Now I can decide, okay, uh, this will be 100 marks, due date. That's what I used to do. I put a due date. You can also set up a time when it expires. I set up a time. I say it expires 11:59. Put it there. You can say close the assignment when it expires. Um, You can also ask it if their students are checked, if they are submitting essay and whatever it is that they are submitting, you can say that you should check it online for plagiarism and it will check for plagiarism. So you put a title, this is one CA. For the title, you can put instruction here, please and all questions. So once you're done, you assign. But I'm going to just save it as draft because I wanted to also show something before we proceed. Now you can see that CA is here, course material is here, but there is another thing that you can create. You can create a topic. A topic is like setting, is one of the ways you arrange your classwork so that you know which ones fall under test, which ones fall under assignment, which ones fall under homework. So I can say, okay, there is class material as a category, as a topic. Then I add another topic and say this is homework, for example. Then I add another topic and I say this is test, for example. All right, so these are all categories. So my class course material, I can shift it under course material. So everything that has to do with material goes under course material. Then my times one CA is the test, put it on that test. So I need to change it. So that's how you categorize all your stuff. Uh, it's easier for you to to identify them. Let me show you as an example. That is what you will see here. I created two topics. One is attendance, one is assignment. And so all attendance are under attendance, all assignments are under assignment. They just allow you easily understand how all of these things work, uh, and help you structure your classwork properly. Now, so this is uh, using quiz. Now let's look at, I want to create an assignment, and this is where I will explain a few things about giving assignments. So we've created a quiz. We've gone through all of this, which is setting up the expiry, the due date, and all of these other features. So let's call this one, um, I'll just call this 10-1 assignment, all right? You can give an instruction, please attend. Uh, this are, you can either put the question here, which is what I normally used to do. So let me just edit one of the assignments from last week, for example. You will see that all of the questions are here. So I'm just going to copy, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So all instruction, which is also optional, because I could put this instruction in a document and attach it. So you are able to format as much as possible from here. It allows you to do that. Now, let's say I don't want to put instruction here, but I want to give you a question paper. I want to give you a question paper. Now, just the same way, rather than me going to make photocopy and hand it over to you or write it on the board, I want to give you a question paper. So I will start by saying, I will create a question paper. Click on create. It's a Google Doc. It's going to create a Google Doc automatically for me. So I was just saying 10 and one questions, for example. All right. And then I'll paste the questions in here. So this is my question. Now, in the classroom, is a question that I'm asking, right? What do I want the students to do? This is a question paper. So here I have three options. I want students only to view this file because it's a question paper. It's not um, it's not an answer sheet, it's a question paper. So I'll ask them to view this document. Let's just say it as draft. I want to refresh the page. You will see it has changed the name to one question. So it is a document for them to view. And this can be a lot of things. It could be a PDF, it could be a picture, it could be a video. It's like a resource material for that assignment, more like what you want them to reference in the assignment. So I could still upload, let's say, a picture also. And this picture, I want them to just refer to it. It could be a picture, it could be a PDF, it could be a JPEG, or it could be something else. This is, okay, so it could be a PDF. I open it. And these are all questions. I want them to view the file. Then I can attach a document online, which we've done, and attach a video, which we have already seen also. But I want to also assign them a question paper. When I give you, I want to assign them an answer sheet. When you are given an answer sheet, it's dedicated to you, right? Because that is what you are going to submit. So instead of me photocopying many answer sheets, this is what I used to do when I say form submission. So I want to give you an answer sheet, something that I want you to submit your work in. So I'll call this one, I'll call this one answer sheet. Okay, so this is an answer sheet. And so this answer sheet, I want it to, everyone will have a copy of their own. So how do I do that? Student is going to be make a copy for each student. So once I make a copy for each student, once I submit this assignment, any student that opens it or clicks on the assignment they will see their name against a copy of that file because it's supposed to be a document or an answer sheet that they are all supposed to follow. The last thing is, let's say the scenario for the last one is I want students to collaborate on one particular document. So I want them to, maybe this is a group project. I have grouped this assignment for different groups, and I want them to collaborate on one document, or I want them all to submit their answer in one document. So what will I do? Let's just say I want to use a PowerPoint. I'm just going to give an example. It could be doc, it could be anything. A document that you want them to all work on. So there are three options. A document that you only want them to view, documents that you want each of them to have a copy, and document that you want all of them to be able to work on. Those are the three options. So let's take this PowerPoint presentation. Let's say, for example, I have a PowerPoint and I want every student to create a page on this PowerPoint. So let's say we're doing a class project, and I've said, okay, every one of you go and research on something, or I give them different things to go and research on. And you're supposed to produce a one-page PowerPoint, a one-page slide. But I want everybody to put their slide in one PowerPoint so that we have a class presentation. So it will be part of my part of the question, and I can call this. I can just call this class presentation. Okay. So it will be part of my question that each one of them, I will have told them, each one of them is to go into this presentation, add their own slide, and do their work, and then put their name. They don't actually need to put their name because one of the things we'll be discussing in the future will be how you are able to identify who did what in a collaborative document. So the last option will be I want every student to be able to edit this file because this is where I want them all to submit their own presentation, one slide presentation. And again, you have to make your instructions very clear to be able to do all of this. So these are all the features that are available with assignment. I just try to give us the different use cases on how to go about it. So when I click on assign, let's come back here. Remember, I can assign this to all students, okay, or I can assign them to particular students. So you are also able to group and assign them to students according to their group and do that assignment. You can set the due date. We already talked about that. So I'll set next week. And when I set all of that, it will automatically be in the calendar. And then I choose submission here. Then I choose the topic. This is going to be under homework, for example. And choose rubrics if I want. Rubrics are just how you want the grades to be graded. I can also check for plagiarism and say continue. Then I click on sign. Another thing is you can also, if you have multiple classes, if this is an assignment, you teach 1A, 1B, 1C. If this is an assignment that you want all of them to do, you can also assign it to multiple classes. This student is teaching only one class. But if I go into this, for example, you will see that this is already done. I've already assigned this. Let me see if I can edit it and show you the option to, okay, so the option is no longer there because this has already been assigned. But you can assign to multiple classes. You will see for GC, you can drop down and select all the classes. Once this is done, you assign, and that assignment will become published within the class. And the due date will also be automatically will also appear automatically on their calendar. So if a parent has subscribed to this class, they will get also a notification. So assignment needs to be. So let's check the calendar and see. This is 28th. Let's just go to the calendar and then we'll see if that assignment will be due. You can see that the assignment is due You click on it to see the question to the assignment is there in it, and then the due date is already it's September this and 11:58 to 11:59. That is when it is due. Uh, so that's the beauty of uh, that. Now, the next thing is collecting assignment effortlessly. I think this is that's what we did then. Uh, all right, so we have gone through uh, giving assignments. We've looked at okay, giving instruction and then assign. We looked at the different options of link, YouTube, and all of that that we can add. Viewing assignment, sharing resources in folder, and then make view only documents for students. So another way you can assign assignment is to also create folders. So I can as a teacher, let's say for example, this same teacher can go into his teacher teacher drive and um, so it's not just about that particular assignment. Remember, this is the one I just shared. I can also come in here and create folders for all my students, student one. I'll create that folder. I will share this folder with that student. So all the submission from that student directly to me and everything I want to have that student, all the student work, individualized, personal engagement with the student. I can put them all in this folder and share it with the student. So that student have access to it. I also have access to it. And all their work can be dumped in there. Different from what is happening within the class. So I can have that as another way of assigning some specific work or some specific assignment or tasks to that student, or as a way of collecting all the work of that student and putting them in a folder that is called for that student and only giving that student access to it. Every other student will not be able to access his file. He will have access to his file. I can use color codes to differentiate different students to color the. So those are additional ways you can create documents for students and help them keep track of what they are doing. So the next thing is how do you collect assignment? A lot of you have already been doing that, turning. We've done 4 assignments now, so you should be familiar with how to turn in your work. I will have to go deep into that. Uh, it's the same process. You attach, you whether it's a YouTube link, whether it's a screenshot or whatever it is, you attach it back. If it's an answer sheet, you answer into it and submit it back. So all told us about turning and then turning. So all of that are done. If it is a question I ask you, just like a quiz, just like the assignment attendance, you only need to mark as done. If you are not supposed to turn in any work, if it is just for you, and I'm giving you some an attendance, for example, and you are supposed to just say, okay, this task has been done, and then you mark it as done. So I can use this kind of way to take attendance. I can also use it to create a checklist. Okay, this week I create an assignment that is not to be graded, it's just for you to check in. And it is also not for you to turn in anything. I have created a checklist for you. This week you must do this, do that. And then all you need to do to let me know you are done is to go back into it and click mark as done. That means you've carried out all those tasks that are not necessarily assignment, but they are tasks that I have assigned to you as a student to do within the class. All right. So these are all ways that we can use Google Classroom in collecting. The last one will be feedback, which is very, very critical, very, very important. Feedbacks are very important. In the traditional class, How do you do feedback? Normally, you would give a student work to do. The student will do the assignment on their book and submit it to you. You collect the assignment, and then you mark and give back to them. The most times they submit the assignment to you when it is the deadline. But with the online with Google Classroom, I can submit an assignment early enough, I can also submit it to do more. But you as a teacher can can also even give me feedback before the deadline and say, oh, I'm reading through your work, you need to make changes to this, and that. And then you will return the work to that person, and the student will get a notification, fix the issue, and submit back again. So those are some of the benefits, and this is where feedback comes in. That feedback is no longer until you've marked and given back the student their work. Feedback is an ongoing, real-time engagement between you and your student. You can review their work as they are doing it and they are turning it in, and you can give it back to them. You can also work collaboratively with them, even during that assignment or project that they are working on. Maybe you're giving them a project that is supposed to last 3 weeks. You don't want to wait until the third week until they submit to be able to check their work. As they are working online, you are also providing feedback with some of the feedback tools that we will be learning today. So feedback is very, very important. And Google Tools allows you able to do that. So we're going to look at some of the ways you provide feedback to students. All right, let's see who are those in this class. People. Uh, so this is me as a student in this class. I can see the assignment has been given. So this is the assignment, and I can click on this. I will see that the submission, you see, it's a friend of my brother wrote in it, term one answer sheet. If another person opens it, they will see that is the answer sheet. But let's look at the other resources. This one is a question paper. I cannot edit it. So if I open it, I will not be able to edit. You see, it's asking me to request access to edit because it's supposed to be a question paper. But the one that is an answer sheet, I can edit it. So let's just say this student now, uh, I'm just going to copy this as an answer. Use it as an answer, paste it here. Let's look at the other questions. Let's say he is finished all his questions and then he wants to add some other work. You can click on this. Let's say I attach a few other files. Uh, as a student, I'm submitting the work. I assign a few other files. So I'm attaching the file. And I can also, apart from just attaching a file, I can create a fresh file for myself. Let's say I create a fresh file. I can create a Google Doc for myself and just, it's creating the Google Doc. It would open because I want to submit that Google Doc. You see that it creates it for me and it keeps the title of the assignment, term one assignment. I created a fresh document that I'm going to submit as part of that assignment. It automatically names that document so that the teacher knows who is submitting this work. It's just like they give you answer sheet and the student forgot to write their names. How will you understand who owns what? So the system does this for you automatically. Let's say this is the assignment. And again, you don't have to save it automatically. Now let's go back to that class presentation. This is a document that everybody is supposed to be able to edit. So I'll go to my class presentation. The assignment was that I should create a slide for myself and start and do whatever I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to right click and then new slide and give it a name and call this my name, for example. And to Let me just insert something inside of it, image, and word. I'm just going to insert. All right, so again, I don't have to do anything. It submits. Once another student puts in their work, they all appear here. So let's say I'm done. All I need to do now, I've attached all my work, is to handle. I just submit. It looks at all the things that I'm supposed to submit, flash it, and then I turn it in. You might be asking yourself, why didn't I turn in the class presentation? You know? The class presentation is a document that all of us have to edit. So if the teacher goes back in grading my assignments, this is the teacher, right? This is the teacher. Let's see. Let's refresh. You will see that one student have turned in. See, one student have turned in the assignment. If he goes to stream, he will be able to see that one student have turned in the assignment. And this is the student. He wants to grade that student. He clicks on the student work, and he can grade each of the work. To grade, it brings him to this part where this is how I do your grading. So you can see one student has turned in, the other student has not turned in. And you can go from one student to the other on this side using the arrow and then go back. So I can see all the work. Oh, I want to provide feedback. There are different ways you can provide the feedback. Let's say, for example, I say, this student he just copied the same question to me. He didn't answer. I can highlight it here and give a comment. And highlight and insert a comment, either to a text or to an entire, um, it's the same thing, to an entire sentence, I attach a comment. To, I can just say, please make correction. So this is one way you apply the feedback. I'm asking him to make corrections to that. Then I can also put a private message here and say your didn't finish. You have another complete task. And also post this. Now, all of them won't get this. It's just that students. So I know that this student is not done. The assignment is not due yet, so I can return his work without grading it because I'm giving him another chance to complete the task. And so if you go back now, you will see that both of them have now turned to assign because I have returned his work without grading it. I'm giving him another opportunity to complete his task. So if I come back here, you will see 2 is now assigned. It's no longer, let me check, let me make this change to make this thing come up. Show attachment and details. So now you can see that 2 is now assigned. Let's look at how it will look like on the end of that student. So this is what the feedback is. Now in the middle of the work, whether it's a project, let's say for example you are teaching as a teacher, you have them write you give them an assignment to write essays. And so rather than wait until they're done, you want to follow up with them and make sure you collaborate with them and provide them feedback as they are writing their essay. This is one of the ways. Or maybe you're a project supervisor. When we were all going to school, you had to make a copy of your project and go and give it to the supervisor, and then we call up, cancel, and give it back to you. You now go to your computer, edit it out. If you don't have a computer, you now have to go to typesetting, whoever is doing your cyber cafe for you, and then you have to deal with all of this stuff. But with this, you can share your project with your supervisor, and on every chapter, As he edits it, as he reviews it, he provides you feedback and provides comments. And it just provides comment and leave you comment, tag you to comments, and that's it. You'll be able to see. So let's go back to that student. This one. And let's see what he or she will see. First of all, will you get an email telling him that his work has been returned? Let's check that to be sure. They will, of course, get an email. Your work has been returned to you. And you will also see private message that I sent to him. He opens it. You didn't finish the assignment. You have another opportunity to complete the task. You can open the assignment directly from here, and you can reply me directly from here. Maybe after he has done that. Thank you, sir. You can reply me directly from here without going, and I will get the notification also. It will be part of a chat trail within the assignment. So he gets a notification for everything. He also gets a notification that his work has been returned to him. He can view details from here. Let's click on and see how that will look like. It's going to just take him to his Google Classroom or take him to that document where his assignment. So it brings him back to the Google Classroom. You can see that the private message, the teacher sent this, he also replied like this. His class presentation is there. Let me close everything here. His class presentation is there already. The teacher will also be able to see directly. Now let's look at what the teacher said and where the teacher made this comment. So he opens this, he will be able to see the comment that the teacher made, which is please correct it. He can, but let's look at his assignment directly. You can see that the assignment is now back to hand in, means it's been returned. He needs to submit it again. He makes the change. Let's just say thank you. That's the change. He makes the change. He can now say mark as resolved, means I resolved it, it's marked, everything is done, I've made my correction. Then it goes back and turn it in again, turn it in anyway. The assignment is submitted. The teacher goes back in and let's see what he sees. Maybe fresh. You will see that. Come on. Okay. Uh, sorry, I have to sign it here. Okay. So teacher comes in and sees that one student has turned in. He can, if you open the class presentation, you will see the work. So that's why I said earlier that the student does not need to turn in the class presentation because everybody's supposed to just add their work to it. Then let's check on the student again to turn in. He wants to grade the student for attachments. You can open that. He sees all the feedback, sees the correction, then he decides to grade the student. And here is where he puts in the grade. He can decide it's 50 over 100 or 100 over 100 or 75 or whatever it wants to do. If you have any other comment, you can add. Then now you can return the work as 78 over 100. And that's the process of grading. And that's how grading is done. Once that is done, the student will still get a notification letting him know his work has been graded and returned again. So marked. Now, this time around is marked and he sees exactly what he scores. He goes into his Google Classroom. Let's see what he will see in his classroom. He goes to his work. It's, goes to his classwork. He opens this, see that is marked and everything. He can view his work directly from here and sees the grade that the teacher graded him. So he's able to see all of those directly. So that's basically how you are able to provide feedback. We would also look further in some of the classes coming forth, where we'll talk more about collaboration. You also see um, this feedback. Some other ways you can give feedback is Google Forms, where you give the students forms to sign anonymously, to fill some form anonymously, to assess you whether you're a good or a bad teacher. You don't want to get true feedback from students and ask them to give their names. They will not give you true feedback. They will sing your praise or they will rather not answer. But if you want to get some other feedbacks, so some of the example of feedbacks will be to give them Google Form, to either gauge their knowledge or to get them to assess your class. So that's basically one of the ways to give feedback. So you can provide feedback throughout the entire lifespan or life cycle of an assignment. The student has the opportunity to revise their work, make changes, and submit the work again. Within Google Docs, you can give feedback by commenting or suggesting what they ought to do. So these are all essential. And these are things that you are not able to do if you were doing things physically. Because once the student submits the assignment and goes home, you do not have access to what they are able to, you're not able to, um, you're not able to provide them with necessary feedback until the next day or until you submitted the assignment. But with this, you're able to do that real time. The student will get a notification and they are able to quickly do what they need to do. You can also give feedback within the comments, within the stream, which sometimes I try to do. So within the stream, also you are able to provide feedback, provide answers if they have questions within the stream. All right, so we already went through this, and what is the last one? Check. So let's go to Unit 8. Okay, so Unit 8, well, you we can see the progression. You give assignment, you collect assignments, you grade assignment, you provide feedback, then you grade, sorry, you provide feedback, you grade the assignment. So all your gradings are done. Now, how do you measure those grades? Those are, that is where um, we talk about how do you measure those grades. The beauty of Google Classroom is that all of your grades are possible for you to export into spreadsheets, and then you are able to analyze that grade, that growth, and tell a story with that growth. You're able to measure the growth, analyze it, and then you tell a story about that. Those are the three areas we're going to focus on. And one of the things I want to do is take an example from one of the classes and then use that to explain the entire process. So I'll take one class that we've done before where I think I have less students. When we first started the Google training. So I'll take one of the classes. We had more than this student, but then when the class ends, I only keep those that qualified for the voucher within the class. But starting from Camp 2, I stopped doing that so that people can also go back and see what they need to do, or if they want to refer back to the material. So then in batch one, Camp 1 was split into batch 1 and batch 2. I was running two classes every Saturday. But, uh, so at the end of the class, after I only kept the people that qualified for the voucher. So let's take this class with 14. I go to their grades. All the grades have been done from start to finish, and they are from week 1 to week 7. Now let's get this out. So I have all of this. Then how do I have measured their grade, I have graded them. How do I measure their grade, and how do I analyze these grades as to be able to do stuff with it? So I can get, I can, let me see, I can export, click on this. I can download all grades as CSV, or I can copy it to Google Sheet. Since we're working with Google Sheet, I'm going to copy it to Google Sheet. So I have all of their grades in Google Sheet. And then we will now begin to do the analysis that we're supposed to do. Um, let me put this in the slash. So I have this. Um, I can now begin to look at what are the things I want to do. So what I will do is I will delete just because I want to work with this as a spreadsheet. I'm just going to delete this stuff. Delete this row. So I have all of this. Um, let's delete this row that doesn't have anything. I delete that. So there is all of this assignment. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about a few options that we have in terms of grading and analyzing. So let's just go through. I will look at um, a few of these, adding that chart, adding formatting numbers, sorting numbers, sum, average, find unique value, count numbers, determine if the response is correct, and publish spreadsheet. So these are some of the things we can do. Now, let me, because all of these grades are random and they are almost the same, um, let's start with, we already know how to create a spreadsheet. I don't have to go through that. You go into Google, you click on plus, and then you create a spreadsheet. You've already worked on that before. But I am taking uh, the grades within this spreadsheet. The first thing is sum. You want to sum, you can either go to the last part here and put equal to and do sum. And then you highlight like sum L to just highlight that. That's as simple as doing that. Sum, you, or you can just do this to the end. You can see that the sum is at the top here, at the bottom here. If you want to make it show here, there's also the mathematical expression here, function. You click on this and you click on sum. It has that. In terms of mathematical operations, whatever operations you want to do mathematically, you just need to select what you want. And here, you see you want to decide what is the average. You can click on average of all of this, you enter, it tells you the average is 100. So let's just change a few of these to 98, yes, 23, 50, 47, 47, 56. So you can see that all of that also continues to change. I'll just work with this. You can highlight, you can do equal to average. So as you write a little bit, it will show. You want to do average, and then you say it just highlights everything that you want to from start to finish. From J2 to J15, click enter, it gives you the average. If you don't want to do the equal to, so equal to or just coming here, you'll be able to do all of those functions. I click on this, do this. I want to count. Here you want to count the number of lines. You just click on count. Count J12 to J15. That should be 14. So that's 14 entries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14. That's the count option. There's also you want to check what is the minimum or what is the maximum. This is just analyzing the data. Okay, of all these students, who scores the highest, who scored the minimum, who scored, so you can always check. What is the minimum score? The minimum score is 23, which is this. What is the maximum score between this? The maximum score is 100. You'll see. Now, if you want to count, let's say, how many 100s do we have? That is where you want to know how many students scored 100 in week 5 assignment. So you can highlight everything and do count. Um, count unique. How many unique values are there? So there are 7 unique values. So you want to see there are a lot of hundreds. You want to see how many unique values. So there's 99, 100, 23, 98. The total number of unique value is 7. I want to see count. What is that? Hmm. Okay, I forgot the name of this thing. That's count, count, average, hmm. Let's say I want to see match. Another option is you want to sort. You want to sort from top to bottom, from the highest to the lowest. Um, how do you sort? You can come here and create a filter. See, I click on this, I created a filter, and this comes up. So I can sort from A to Z. If I do that, you will see that. So this one is filter. Let me see. Remove this. So let's say I want to sort extension to. If you sort range, if you sort only a column, then it will mess up the number because I'm sorting only by this column. You see that only the column changed and every other thing did not change. The number, the whole thing will be messed up. That's why you need to understand the difference between sorting as a sheet and sorting as a column alone. If I want to know, I want to sort this. If I go and sort it by, sorry, if I sort it by sheet, by column, it's only going to change the numbers on the column. And that will be taking one student grade and assigning it to another student. You only do sorting by column when there is only one column. But if there are several columns and it's tied to unique students or unique other unique variables, then you sort by sheet. If you sort by sheet, and then you see that it will change everything on the other side and put the students according to their grades. So I can see now that 23 is the least and 100 is the highest. That's sorting. Um, if you can create a filter, the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about protecting of spreadsheet. Let's say this is a spreadsheet that has grades, and I'm going to share it with people, but I do not want them to change or edit anything within the grades. what are the possibilities for me to do? It's possible for you to protect a cell, protect a column, protect a range of cells, or to protect the entire spreadsheet so that nobody can change that spreadsheet. A good scenario would be, let's say we want to use spreadsheet to analyze the data across the entire school. And every teacher, math teacher, science teacher, they're supposed to come in and put in their grades according to their different subjects. So I, as the administrator administering this entire Excel sheet, I can say, okay, week one assignment, week one column is taken by this specific teacher. I want him to be, whereas I want everybody to have access to this spreadsheet, I want only that teacher to be able to edit this column. Then I want the next teacher to edit this column. I want the next teacher to edit this column. So you are also able to do that so that you are given, it's a spreadsheet that everybody is using, but you are giving every column access based on the particular teacher that should be able to impute grades in those columns. It's really very important to be able to do that. So how do you protect cell? You go to data and you see protect cells or protect sheets. So if I click on protect sheets, I have already highlighted it. That is why he brought this for me. I'm protecting a range, but I can protect a sheet. I said, now this is sheet 0. So even if I have multiple sheets, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, I can say maybe this is math, science, social study, language arts, for example. And I can protect this one and say I want to protect this sheet, and only teacher that teaches science should have access um, to edit what is in here. Whereas everybody had access to this document, but only one teacher can edit this. So let's look at some of the permission we can set. So in sheet 0, now we're looking at the entire sheet, right? In sheet 0, we're looking at the entire sheet. I can also exclude some certain cells. I'm not excluding any cell. I can set the permission. So here you see everybody in Google cohort training have access, but I want to remove them. So it's not everybody. I want to now give only me access. Or I can select a few people and give them access to do and give students for access to this. Restrict who can edit this range. So I'm giving access to only this person to see this particular sheet. And when I do that, um, I click on done. So any other person, when it comes and says, okay, so someone needs access to grade, blah, blah, blah. What access do I want to give him? I want to give him editor rights. Then I'll share that link. Immediately I do that, you can see that there is a padlock now appearing on this sheet. So even if somebody else gets the link to this sheet is protected. If I decide to change the settings, remember now, I have protected this sheet, but now let me share this document. I want to share this document, and I'm giving anyone with the link. So anyone with the link, even if I say, let's try and say anyone with the link can edit. I said anyone with the link can edit. Let's copy that and try to see if others will be able to edit that cell. Now, so this is anyone that does not require signing. Let's see if they'll be able to edit. You see, they cannot edit because this cell has been tied down and given access to only one person. So even this way, let's say, for example, you want to share your SAT results for your school to the entire parent community. You want to give them access to this spreadsheet. So you can set the permission on specific cells. The same thing happens where um, you can set the permission and say, okay, they can see it, but they cannot edit it. And you can also hide that cell from the public. So though the spreadsheet is shared with everybody and everybody is given access to edit it, but because the permission on this sheet is only for one person, then it's only that person that can edit it. But this person now, if he goes into sheet one, he's able to type in sheet one, he's able to type in sheet two, he's able to type in sheet three, he's able to do all of that. And if you close it and you go back to the original document, go back to the original document, you will see all the changes that the external person did because they were given access to have complete edit rights to the entire sheet though, but this first spreadsheet, to the entire spreadsheet, but this first sheet has been protected. They will not be able to edit. So those are a lot of things that you can do, excuse me, with, uh, so you can analyze all the data, look for the average, look for the minimum, maximum, and all of those within your spreadsheet, all of those formulas within your spreadsheet. Um, as we begin to round up, I think the other parts of it are very pretty straightforward, which is um, let us look at the next part is measuring and understanding growth, analyzing and sharing growth. So we want to look at being able to tell a story. Measuring them is like what we've done, where you are able to analyze the data, sort and organize, filter the data, use Google Form to give quick assessment and collect data. So that those are you give them assignments, you get the results, and then you analyze the results. Who is the highest? What is the minimum? What is the average of the class? Who is the highest student? What's the highest grade, the lowest grade? So that these are all some of the analysis that you are able to do with the spreadsheet. So look at some of the things we've done. Some average, count mass, count low, all of that, sorting, and all of this. But the part that I want to focus on before we round up is the part of telling stories with it, which is about using visualization. Now you have a spreadsheet, right? You have this spreadsheet. It tells parents what the grades are, but there are more in terms of visual presentation that you can do with this. And that is where telling stories comes in, which is what we're going to be talking about, data, analyzing the data and presenting it. And that's where bar charts and all the other charts comes in place. So let's say I want to look at this, just so there's week one, and then want to analyze some of the, demonstrate some of the data. So I can look at this, for example, then I can click on insert, and then I will insert a chart. What kind of chart do I want to insert? You can see that I can insert a bar chart. Okay, let's not use this one because this one doesn't have too much data. It has all 10 in it. So I can insert a chart. So I can see that the lowest mark, let me put it here. Sorry, so you can analyze the data within your class. The lowest mark is 25, and then the highest is 100. You can also, so this is a line chart. You can do a bar chart. You can see. So this is more presentable than just this spreadsheet. And you can copy this and paste it into a Word document for you to present to your school. You can have as many bar charts as you want. So let's put this here. And then let's say I now, let me just say copy some of these random numbers and put them in different places so that we have variety. Yeah, yeah. Just to have varieties of learning. So this is just one cell. You can compare with one, can compare with with 5 and 6. Let's compare the performance of week 5 and 6. Insert chart. Then you can see this is the line chart of week 1 and 6. You can change it to different. Let's look at the pie chart. You can see the pie chart, and you can change to maybe stacked bar chart with 5 and with 6, and it gives you the breakdown of, of each of the week. Let's let's make it not like this one. Let's make it this chart. So week 6 is red, week 5 is blue. So you can see the visual comparison between week 5 and week 6. You can do that for so you are able to analyze growth across different parts, uh, depending on how you want to analyze it. So I can take the entire spreadsheet also, take out format data, so insert, insert the chart, and then let's look at what is best for us. Let's look at scattered plots. Uh, you're able to see different weeks. Here you are able to see which week has the most number of hundreds, the most number of uh, 75, first percentile, second percentile, third percentile. This just enables you have a lot of graphical representation that explain your data even in a more visual way. Um, you will need to know how to translate some of these things, but the task of this training is just to show you the possibilities of the things you can do with the bar chart and with the spreadsheet in terms of um, measuring the growth, analyzing it, and then telling the story of how students have progressed within your class as a teacher. So there are a lot of features and a lot of other options that you can use here, and you are able to analyze and also use candlestick. You'll be able to add. So I would advise you to leverage on this, pay good attention to it. But whatever data is in the spreadsheet, you are able to present it in terms of visual, appealing way of presenting and representing your data. And it's as simple as just highlighting whatever you want, going to insert and inserting the chart. You'll be able to see different charts that you can use to analyze that data. Let's look at, so here you can see uh, the average of attendance by each of the weeks, day two attendance. You can see the percentages of each one of them. Um, you can also increase the number of slices. You want it to be 5 slides, this is 5 charts. You can change the border line. You are able to do some editing accordingly. If you want to do some editing, so you can switch the rows and the column. So you can see week 1 is red, week 3 is green, and that talks about the total of those the overall total. So let's look at the overall total of this one. So I'm going to highlight here and get the total sum, keep enter. 666, I will drag this right here to see. So we can see that You can see that with one is 666, that is 5.2%. Then which one is the highest? The highest is with three, 100%, 22.4, with three aside. Okay, this is less because it's, yeah. So it gives us, oh, I didn't add it to the end, sorry. No wonder. Uh, it's, okay. So we are able to just do this visual presentation on all of the spreadsheets. And that's basically what in bar chart, you're able to do comparison, simply share the sheets with anyone else for visualization. You can also embed the spreadsheet into a Google site. We talked about Google site, how you can bring a spreadsheet with the bar chart into a Google site and share with all the people in your community. So these are opportunities for that are available with Google Sheets in terms of grading, getting the grades out to be able to present them to parents in different ways. So bar charts, pie charts, um, pie charts anonymized, uh, pie charts with bar chart with different columns. You have stack charts, you have scatter plots and all of that. Especially those of us that like to do data analysis, we'll be able to analyze all of those data using this opportunity that you have in these features. So bar chart, line graph, pie chart. I think this is the end of this unit. Um, then just round up by taking questions. Unit 9, we'll look at search smart. Those students will be looking at online search skills and how you do search, both on Google and all of that. Then we'll do unit 10. I think unit 10 talks about, let me see, unit 10. Okay, so unit 10 will be looking at Google Slides, which is PowerPoint presentation. Uh, it is going to be an interesting